Hi everybody, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface with EmergencyAZ number 35. I have to make this video right now because this is the perfect time. It's the perfect time because Method have just killed Gahoon Mythic. The World of Warcraft community is on a huge high. People are taking to Twitter right now talking about how great this is, how great for WoW this is,
it's talking about me.
It is for Method. What 100,000 plus people watching, and everything is sky high right now. So this, of course, is the perfect time for Blizz to exploit you. And it's not just a simple exploitation here, people. This is really going a little bit deeper than that. Battle for Azeroth has been out now for just over 5 weeks, okay? Which means we've gone through the first month worth of sub numbers for BFA. We've also gone into the second month, which means Blizzard can see how much of a drop-off they have had from the first month sub to the second month sub. My housemates dropped off. I know other people that have dropped off, not happy with the way that BFA has been turning
This
out
is true.
far.
There's a lot of people.
Pretty much all progression,
but that's always the way it goes.
Pushed to Mythic Plus dungeons and raiding. Outside world, pretty useless. Other forms of content to get involved with, just not there. We also had an AMA a few days ago, which didn't go down particularly well. People didn't feel as if Blizzard addressed the issues that they really wanted to discuss.
They did not.
And then yesterday, Ian comes out with the content drop for the next patch. And again, there was a very mixed reaction to it. If you're a raider, it's looking good. So this wave of raiding that we've just had with the Gahoon Mythic Plus by Method just being achieved, that's going to raise up spirits. But outside of raiding, looking decidedly dumb. So what have Blizzard done with this? Take a proper look at it for what it really is. Okay? You don't have to have, too much in the old grey matter department.
You don't need 200 IQ.
This is Blizzard wanting to get 6 months of money out of you right now. Right now.
Yeah.
If you do, you get a lovely mount. And I'll tell you right now, that is a lovely mount. This is a lovely looking mount. It's a reskin of the Alliance BlizzCon airship from last year's BlizzCon. It's a reskin of that.
Should have been a Hero of the Alliance
reward. But it looks very nice, very pretty. I've got nothing bad to say about the design. It looks great. But this, folks, is a trap. And it's a massive trap.
Oh.
Because if you are unsure right now about WoW, you've gone through the first month and you've resubscribed for a second month.
Okay.
But you're not sure about how things are progressing.
Yeah.
If you get this, you're committing, regardless of whether or not you play the game. That part is irrelevant. You are committing to 6 months further of game time for Blizzard. So once you've made that purchase, Blizzard just like, that's cool, that's fine. Because we've now got 6 months of sub from this person. It doesn't matter if you, at the end of this month, get disillusioned, you're not seeing the class changes, you're not seeing the content changes, you go. Blizzard, well done. Blizzard have got 1 month out of you, 5 months for free. This is so exploitative right now to a community that is really fractured. To a community that is really desperate for things to get fixed, things to get sorted, and so far they haven't had the answers from Blizzard, and so far they haven't had the content announcements that they were really hoping for. But if you give them £52.14, or if you give them nearly $80 if you're on the US side,
that's true,
then you can get a pretty mount and commit to 6 months of game time in advance for Blizz.
Champions Club.
I think it's pretty disgusting. I think it's really disgusting, Blizzard. Before you even think about doing something like this, particularly exactly where we are in relation to just after the first month and potential drop-off, and I think there has been a big drop-off, and of course riding the crest of the wave now of the mythic triumph in the raiding of Oldea, it's nothing but an exploitative measure. Because you don't have to have anything to do with WoW for them now. If you purchase this, they are taking 6 months from player A, B, C, D, E, and F, and G. And it doesn't motivate them to change anything. It doesn't motivate them to repair anything because they'll have your money 6 months in advance.
This is the same pre-order argument. I agree with that.
Mount. You got a pretty mount. And that is what it is there for. It's nothing more than that. And to go and purchase this with its lovely mount, and that's the tease. It's the tease. It's like in the First World War to recruit young men to go over the top to their deaths, to get mowed down by their millions.
What?
They would recruit young men. They'd get women to come on the stage. They'd have a recruitment session. They'd get women to come up on stage, and they'd be all sexy-like and dancing, and all the men would be like, whoa! And they'd be like, hey, if you sign up for the World War I, we'll give you a kiss on the cheek. And so the young men,
I think that's actually true.
And shit would get up and they'd sign the names, and the woman go, mwah! And then they'd get carted off to war and mowed down by the Germans. And that's what this is. This is Blizzard's dancing woman on the stage. This is Blizzard's kiss on the cheek while you give them 6 months worth of money. And there's no promise of any fixes. We don't know when the content patch is going to drop. And because the content has actually already been announced, we know what's coming. And with the lukewarm reception that it got, certainly in the dev live stream, let's just say the chat wasn't too happy. With the video that I made today, where I was just brutally honest about my opinion.
Okay. And
it's still like 75% yays, 25% nays.
That's a lot of yays.
You know, there is quite a bit of agreement there. Even when somebody like me, who's brutally honest, doesn't try and dress up anything, doesn't try and, you know, put a flipping dress on a pig and call it flipping Marilyn Monroe, when I just calls it how it is down the middle, still vast majority of people going, yeah, it's kind of lukewarm. So if you buy this, that is absolutely your prerogative. I am not going to have a go at you. I'm not going to think any less of you. You know, some of you could be saying, well, I pretty much will play this expansion anyway, so I might as well. Hey, fair enough. To those people, fair enough.
Okay.
But when you got probably people now who are umming and ahhing, who are unsure. What? I don't, you know, will I be here in 6 months? Ooh, I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe I'll give it another couple of months, see how it goes. Well, there's your lady dancing on stage. There's your kiss before you get shipped out to war.
Oh.
Right there. Now, of course, this is free will. You don't have to buy it. You absolutely don't have to buy it. But it is a cool mount. There's no denying that. It is a really cool mount.
True.
But I just think it's so egregious of Blizzard, and it's such a negative move by the company. This isn't a positive move. Hey, please commit to 6 months of game time to us right now. After the lukewarm reception of BFA, this seems like a damage control. This doesn't seem like a good offer. It doesn't seem like it's made in good faith. It's another thing on the Blizzard store, for a start. It's another thing you can't get in game.
Yeah, fuck that.
And look at this. Look
100%.
at this wording, folks. This offer is only available for a limited time. You want to take advantage, otherwise you'll miss out.
Yeah, that is horse shit.
On this mount, you'll miss out. If you don't get it now, you'll miss out. You'll miss out if you don't get it now, because it's limited. It's limited. Limited time.
I love this video.
Is pure salesman-y crap right there. That is preying on people.
That's true. We used to do that too.
In the wake of the AMA.
Remind me how I used to scam people. I'll tell another story.
Yesterday.
It's like after I talk about this.
This is horrific. With Method literally just knocking down Gahoon Mythic.
Oh.
I think
they got him.
Just before this came out, or certainly around the time, it seems so well orchestrated as to when this got hit. With people taking to Twitter talking about how great this is for WoW, how loads of people turned up and watched, how spirits are high.
Yes.
When spirits are high, skirts fly. And get ready, because Blizzard want to fuck you. So there you go. EmergencyAZ. We're coming out of retirement.
I love it.
35 comes to an end. Look,
I love it.
All ranting and raving aside,
I
it's your
love
decision to make, and I won't think of anyone less for getting it at all. Neither should I. But I just want people to really see what this is. This isn't a positive move by Blizz. This isn't a step in the right direction from Blizz. This isn't, hey, over the course of BFA, if you sub up, if you manage to accumulate 180 days worth of sub time, we'll give you this mount. This is such a negative move in the wake of probably what is the first month serious drop-off of numbers with this expansion. Hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do get a thumbs up. I got a feeling this is going to cause some people to get all a bit... Also, subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming. Links are in the description box down below. And I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care. Bye for now.
So, I've always liked Az, and I've done videos with him before. I've always been a fan of his. I like him because he's like, you know that what he's saying, he actually thinks it. So it's not like he's just putting out some line that's probably going to, you know, something politically correct. He is being 100% fucking honest. Now, my opinion of the mount, I'll talk about that in a bit. I wanted to see what a few of these comments were before I talked about the mount specifically. So, clearly I'm not the only one who thinks this is a load of shit. Have not played in 2 weeks now. BFA sucks. If you're not having fun, is a flying boat going to fix that? It's bollocks. Take my money and buy something you're actually going to enjoy instead. I don't really know what that means. First saw some booty ban. I thought it was a cool event. Reward for only Pirate Day. What an idiot. Silly me. I looked up in the journal and saw it was from the store. Man, that reminds me of the heart of the aspects. Couldn't agree more, as it's a fucking trap. 100% business movement. I don't think anybody's denying that. All people saying this is obviously planned a long time ago and not a panic button move. This does not make the situation any better. Blizzard must realize that people are absolutely not satisfied with the game, and it's not a good time for bribes. Why don't they put these cool-looking mounts in-game instead? Why does the rated achievements give boring rescans and all of the good shit goes to the store? Let's give this guy a +1. It used to not be that way. They used to put time and effort into both, but now the store gets all the attention. That's very true. So this is kind of, and I want to talk to you guys about a couple of different things that kind of come together in here, because I think this is a very, very important video that Az is making. Although, you know, obviously it's, you know, there's a lot of, I mean, maybe it's hyperbole, right? I mean, like, it's not the same as going off to World War I, of course, but the idea is similar. And so I want to talk about what I think is right about the video, and then I'll talk about what I think is wrong. So the first thing that I want to say is, in general, I like Az a lot, and I've always been a fan of his content. As I said before, he and I have done videos together, and I really like the fact that he has the hardline stance against store mounts in the same way that I do. Let me actually just start killing some of these bosses while I talk about it, though. So here's where I'm at, okay? So they added them out because it's Pirate Days, you dumb fuck. Well, if they added them out because of Pirates Day, then why is the mount not have anything to do with Pirates Day? It's just it's basically just giving Blizzard money. All right, so here's basically what I think is that Az is right in a lot of aspects, but I think that, you know, the issue, and this is something that I've run into with my videos too, and it's something I've tried to tone down, is hyperbole, right? And, you know, whenever you explain things in hyperbole, you get people who are kind of like on defense that are a little bit like weirded out because they're like, man, you know, it's just a mount, right? So let's try and move back and take back the hyperbole and look at what he's actually saying. What he is saying is that the idea of making people pay for content ahead of time is inherently consumer unfriendly because it's incentivizing people to pay for something that they don't know if it's going to be good or not. So it's basically the same argument that you can make against pre-orders. And I agree with that. I don't like pre-ordering at all. I think it's a consumer unfriendly practice, and it should have died in 2010 when it was irrelevant. The only reason you need pre-orders now is just so the game developer can sell extra bonus things. The only reason that you used to have pre-orders, now you guys might not remember this, but for me, the reason that I pre-ordered Halo 2 is so whenever I went to the fucking GameStop on that November day in 2004, I knew that there would be a copy there waiting for me. It was because of limited availability. Now, because codes are created indefinitely, there's no reason to have pre-ordering because there's no idea of any sort of limited supply. So there's no reason to have a pre-order. It's completely consumer unfriendly, and it incentivizes people who are oftentimes kids or stupid or young in general to pay for a product that they don't even know what it is. That they're paying for something that they don't even know if it's going to be good or not. And it's incentivized by these companies that add in these different bonuses, like, oh, you get a new mount, you get a new, armor skin, you get to play the game early for a few days. And I can see how that's a bad thing. And I also want to counter that and preemptively talk about something else that's tangentially related, is the idea of because you can and because something does make more money, then you should always do it. The profit incentive, the profit responsibility. Is that true? Yes, it is true. But at the same time, that doesn't necessarily mean that people shouldn't speak out against it. And if enough people speak out against something that is very clearly a profit-driven thing that's not consumer-friendly, companies will stop doing it. Because I think an example of this that you can use is the Xbox One. So if you look at the Xbox One and the amount of different features that it added in that were consumer unfriendly, like not being able to have the game system work while it was offline, not being able to trade used games, all of these different examples, and the consumers and everybody hated it, and PlayStation fucked Xbox in the ass. And they got rid of all of that stuff, and they said, listen, we care about you, unlike Xbox, and we're not going to do that. Well, that hurt Xbox so much that even whenever they went back on everything that they said, their sales were still lower because people had that different, what's the word? That's not stereotype, but that expectation in their mind that Xbox was consumer unfriendly. So, mentality, the perception. Yes, good words, guys. Excellent words. You guys have the best words. And so I think that's basically what's happening. Brand alignment? Well, it's not, though, because it's not brand alignment in the same way that people are attaching themselves to a brand on an ego level. They're attaching themselves on a brand on a pragmatic level because they like what that brand is doing, right? They're happy that this brand is not doing these practices that the individual feels is consumer unfriendly. So what's happening? Goodwill. Yes, goodwill. And goodwill is valuable. So an example of this is like whenever I want to do like giveaways or something like that. Like I'm going to make t-shirts. I'm going to have t-shirts printed for my mount offs, and I'm going to give winners of the mount off these t-shirts. And I'm not going to make any money off of this, but sometimes you have to make brand investments, and investing in your brand and investing in making sure that your users are happy is sometimes something that's worth a lot more than the money that you potentially spend on whatever you're doing that with. So what I'm trying to get at here, and the real point that I'm trying to make, is that Az is correct in the way that Blizzard is doing something that is slightly fundamentally consumer unfriendly. They are getting users to pay for a product that they haven't yet experienced, right? And they have no tools to experience that product. But they're basically asking people to take a leap of faith and say, hey, we trust you, and, this is okay, and we're just going to buy it. So are you guys following me up to here? You guys like that voice? Are you following me up to here? Okay, no. All right, well, fuck it. Let's just keep going anyway. So what's going to happen, and this happened in Cataclysm with the annual pass. If you bought the annual pass, you got Diablo 3 for free, and you also got the Tyrios Charger. Blizzard has done this before. Do I think this was convenient timing on Blizzard's part? Yes and no. I do not think that it was in response to players dropping off because of the nature of the expansion. I think that it was in response to Blizzard knowing that no matter what expansion they bring out nowadays, because of the way that the content is developed, players are going to stop playing after a couple of months. This has happened in WoD, it happened in Mists of Pandaria to an extent, it happened in Legion, and it's going to happen in BFA. Because all of the content, there's no progression of content, there's no character progression. You get to a certain point, you reach a plateau, then you stop playing. In Burning Crusade, you would never reach that plateau because it was just so far out of reach. I mean, there's no way you're going to kill Magtheridon, right? It was so rare that anybody would even have a chance to do that. So, I never stopped playing. Well, I don't either. Like, I mean, that's the truth. So it's not a big deal for me. But, and also I had already bought the 6-month thing because my dad didn't renew my fucking sub. But that's okay. And he's beating you with them achievement points? I know she is. So, generally, like, this is basically the same, as I said, the same argument for pre-ordering. I don't think that Blizzard is doing this because subs are dropping, any more than they would be doing it that subs are dropping another time. Also, is it better for Blizzard? Is it better for the game as a whole for them to do this? Probably yes. I would say that from a pragmatic perspective, it is probably better for the game that they do this than not, okay? That's really what it comes down to for me. Why would someone buy a 6-month sub to get a mount for a game they don't want to play? Well, they're not really addressing people who are already completely done with the game. They're addressing people that are on the fence, and they're creating an incentive for them to get off the fence and come onto their side of the fence. Obviously, you're going to lose people no matter what. People quit WoW in vanilla. People have always quit WoW. But the idea is to retain as many of them as possible by creating these different mechanisms that incentivize them to keep playing the game because of the sunk cost fallacy. And what they're going to do is an individual is going to buy this, and they're going to say, okay, well, now that I've spent the money on this, I'm going to continue playing the game because I already have this going on. And I mean, like, the psychology to this is actually very simple. And this is something I wanted to build into as well, was something that I used to do. And what he was saying about the limited availability is absolutely true. And creating a sense of urgency is something that's very important and something that's very strong in sales. And if a lot of you guys have ever watched the what's it called, the Wolf of Wall Street, and they're sitting there in a diner, and they said, sell me this pen. And the guy says, sure, I need you to write something down for me. Right? And so that creates a sense of urgency and creates need. So what I used to do with people is, if I was trying to sell them something, I would say, listen, we can sell it to you right now. And I incentivized right now, because a lot of people don't have a lot of self-control, and they're not able to deal constructively with the idea of deferred gratification. So you can manipulate people into buying things and giving you things that they wouldn't normally get if you give them the promise that they'll be able to get it right now. It's very, very easy to do. And so what we would do is we'd be like, well, we've got a run going right now, and we can get it for you right now. Or, it might take a little bit later on, tomorrow or the next day, and I don't know if we're going to be on. And this would push them to make a decision at that exact point. It's another trick that car salesmen use whenever they say, well, listen, I could sell you this car now, but I've got a family coming in tomorrow, and, I don't know if they're going to buy it or not. It seems like they really liked it last time they looked at it. Was there a family that came in there and looked at it yesterday? Probably not. But they're lying to you in order to force you into making a sale. So there are a lot of these different tricks that I used to use. Like, I would lay in bed jerking off, thinking about different ways that I could manipulate people out of their fucking money. And this is all I would do. Like, this is like my job. And I love it. Guys, by the way, if you didn't know, you can connect your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account and get a free sub to your favorite streamer once a month with Twitch Prime. Okay, I just want to make sure that you guys remembered that. Very, very important. So you just click the button up above, Twitch Prime. And what'd I say, boys? I have a 25-year career. A 25-year career in scamming people out of their money. Well, actually, I'm scamming Jeff Bezos here. Because you guys, by the way, you get it for free. But listen, all I'm trying to say, thank you guys for those subs. I appreciate that. Celebrating Pirates Day. Well, I think that you're right, Nixie. You are. But also at the same time, I think that Blizzard knows it's more than celebrating Pirates Day. Because they could have celebrated on another day, like Noble Garden. They could have, made a turkey mound or something like that. Why did they do it on this day? Why did they do it now? I think that Az is right that they're doing it now to keep people subscribed to the game. Because they know, based off of the last 3 or 4 expansions, that as soon as people buy the expansion, they will go through the content, and then in 1 to 2 months, which is why I believe they time gave content out to at least be 2 months, so people at least spend 2 months on the game, then they start unsubbing. So Blizzard is trying to counteract this proactively, or not proactively. Maybe they are doing it because they know they're losing subs. But to me, that's irrelevant. They're trying to counteract this proactively by creating an incentive for people to stay subscribed to the game. So, I mean, am I wrong? Am I fucking wrong? They did it before. They absolutely did do it before. 100%. I mostly understand. Mostly on subs. Well, there's a lot to this. Cam says, no, it's not. Create content and then instead of pay to play mounts. Well, so you are right. And this goes into what I think about store mounts. I think store mounts create a profit incentive for Blizzard to lock the best mounts behind a paywall. Because if Blizzard, in acting in their own best interest, is deciding whether they want to put a mount on the store or in the game, the more unique mounts will drive a higher price because there's only one way to get them. So that's the reason why you saw all of the very unique mounts like the Fey Dragon and the Laughing Skull racial mount added into the store instead of added into the game. It makes perfect sense. And what happens is that it creates a system where Blizzard is doing things for money and not necessarily for players' enjoyment. And although Blizzard is a company, it's not just about making money if you want to develop and create goodwill with your customers. Anybody who's like a CEO, like go ask any successful CEO of a large company, and they'll tell you this exact thing. And I understand there's a lot of people that might have taken Business 1 in community college that think they know everything and they're the master of the universe. But the truth is that sometimes making more money isn't worth it in the long run. Okay? Like, that's the truth. And, well, you don't have to listen to me. No, it's okay if you think that I'm wrong too. You can listen to, like, any successful CEO. Guess what, a lot of these, like, other CEOs will say. That doesn't mean to necessarily do it, but the ideology is out there, okay? And that's something that's promoted everywhere. So even if you don't want to listen to me, it's still something that's echoed by people who are infinitely more successful than any of us are. So I think that using that logic it doesn't make sense either. What I'm really trying to get at here, and like, there's a lot for me to talk about, and I do apologize if this has kind of gone on for a long time, but this is something I feel strongly about, is that Blizzard, I feel like, is selling themselves short. They are selling themselves short by putting mounts on the fucking store. Man, if they put that mount on the game, if they put that mount on heroic Mythic Gahoon, we would be farming Mythic Gahoon 5 years from now. You know what we're going to be doing with Mythic Gahoon 5 years from now? Forgetting that he exists. It's a short-term gain for a long-term loss. And creating those different drives and those different things for players to go after and those different things for people to say holy fuck to, that makes people excited. That makes them enjoy the game. That makes them happy. That's what it's fucking about. It's like, you think about it, like, why do people run Utgard Pinnacle? They run it for the fucking blue Proto Drake. Why do they run Utgard Keep? They don't. I guess they do now for Transmog, but they really don't. They run let me see right now. Who? Guard. Okay, there's 0 people in Utgard Pinnacle. Never mind. I guess everybody already has it by now. But the point that I'm trying to make, right, is that, like, ICC is another good example, like Invincible. Like, what if they put Invincible on the, what do you call it? What if they put Invincible on the store? less people would run ICC. And that type of content, even though you might think it's stupid, right? Like, oh yeah, you're just farming mounts, who cares? There are a lot of people who love farming mounts, even on a very casual level. Like, oh man, I really want to get invincible, and so they do their invincible run for the week, and it's a carrot for them to chase after. And whenever Blizzard sells those carrots to you instead of letting you chase them, people just buy the carrots, and it's not. You can't buy carrots and have it feel as good. That's really what it comes down to. When you get it, you miss running it. Well, yeah, exactly. Like, I remember whenever I got Huon, I had a midlife crisis because half my stream content was gone. I mean, like, that's what I would do, and, that was gone. And then now what do? I don't know. And I'm still trying to get invincible. Fucking casual. But you know what I'm saying, right? I think that Blizzard needs to stop selling themselves short. I think they need to stop treating their players like fucking morons. Like, the idea that players can't handle reforging, players can't handle armor penetration because it was too mathy. Blizzard has streamlined the game down to the point to where success in the game is no longer fulfilling. And I think that's really the word that I want to use, and the word that I really want to emphasize in my main concern and all of my criticisms with WoW, is that it's not fulfilling. You don't finish an evening or an afternoon of running Mythic Plus and feel fulfilled most of the time. You're just done. And it's the same with raiding, it's the same with a lot of other things, because there's nothing that's a unique advantage that you've gained. And, yes, obviously some people do, but it's rarer now than it was. And that's the concern that I have, okay? That's how I feel. Good old stat, tic-tac-toe class fallacy. Well, yeah, exactly, and this is an example that I had used before. So, from a purely accessibility level, tic-tac-toe is more accessible than chess because it's easier to understand. So let's say a kid that's 5 can understand tic-tac-toe, but, you have to be like 7 or 8 to understand chess. I mean, let's just use that as an example. You can change the numbers around. But basically, there's a lower barrier to entry to understand tic-tac-toe because why is the same fucking song? We know, bro. Like, we know. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, this is a good song. We'll go with this one. The point that I'm making. Sorry if I'm getting a little bit distracted here. What was the point that I was making? Fulfillment. Tic-tac-toe. So basically, no, I'm back. The point that I'm making is that the idea of making things easier, and because they're easier, there's a lower barrier to entry for them, and then more people will be able to do them. I think that breaks down very fast. If you look at a lot of the games that are extremely popular right now, many of them are extremely complex. You look at Fortnite. Fortnite is extremely complex. I know there are a lot of people who probably go, have like a 0.3 kill-death ratio, and they think that, they think that Fortnite is easy. It's not easy, and if you think that it's easy, you're stupid. It's extremely hard to play. It's extremely, there's a lot to it. I mean, really. It takes 10 IQ to play the game. Yeah. I challenge anybody who thinks Fortnite is easy to compete in any of the tournaments and get anywhere. Fortnite is extremely difficult to be good at. It's a really hard game with a high skill cap. It's extremely hard. People don't know that, but there it is. Breach Asmo? Yeah. 5-year-olds can play it? Well, a 5-year-old can play chess, too. It's like the analogy or the metaphor of not to argue with a bird or not to play chess against a bird because it'll just knock all the pieces over and think that it won. Just because a 5-year-old can play Fortnite, a 5-year-old can play WoW, a 5-year-old can play vanilla WoW, that doesn't mean that they're going to be good at it. It's not like 5-year-olds are knocking down 20 bombs all the time, Like, there's a reason why the people that are good at Fortnite are good at Fortnite, and it's not just because they're good at aiming. There are so many different moving pieces in that game that it's completely overwhelming. Like, I realized at a point where people farm that game for fucking, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and I play for a half hour, I'm never going to be good. And I just quit playing. And I never did that with PUBG because I felt like I had a chance. A good way to look at this, right? And I don't want to get too off topic with this Fortnite discussion, But I can say this. If I played against, you know, a top 100 PUBG player or a top 100 Fortnite player, in PUBG, I would probably win 5 out of 100 times. In Fortnite, I would win 0 out of 100 times. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay? Like, I mean, if people don't understand that, I can see why, right? It's a big meme to think that Fortnite is like an easy game for 5-year-olds. Everybody saw like the clip of all the kids who likes Fortnite, and they're like, you know, I mean, like everybody thinking that, oh yeah, these kids are such losers. I wonder what you did whenever you were 5 fucking years old. Probably sitting there jerking off to Bugs Bunny. Like, I want to fucking see that. Like, nah, yeah, I mean, every kid's cringy and stupid whenever they're a kid. Give me a fucking break. But all I'm trying to say, playing Toontown, playing Pokemon, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, to me, like, I don't think Fortnite's that bad, but it's a complex game. There are many games that are enjoyable, and people like doing them because they're very complex. And that's all I'm really trying to get at here. That probably took me a very long time to reach that point, but hopefully you guys can see where I'm coming from. Okay? Let's play PUBG. Oh, I'm down at some point. Yeah, I definitely am. I just need to find some time to play myself, man. RuneScape is extremely complex. WoW is not complex. Well, it depends on, like, what are you measuring WoW's complexity against, right? Is it complex compared to something like StarCraft Brood War? No, of course not. StarCraft Brood War is extremely complex. It's the reason, like, I feel like maybe StarCraft is an example of a game that might be too complex. Or at least, like, too hard for people to get into because of just, like, how developed the meta for that game is. But it's too hard. Well, it is. It's very, very hard. But I think there's a middle ground, and I think Blizzard is selling themselves short by treating their players like fucking morons that don't understand anything about the game, and they're too stupid to realize what their best stats are. And they're like, well, we have to make the highest item level the best, and if we don't do that, then the dumb people are just going to put on the high item level gear and be bad. It's like, at what point do you remove the fulfillment from knowledge and just give that fulfillment, at least in trying to give that fulfillment to everybody, and then end up taking it away from everyone at the same time? That's basically what's happened, and I'm not very happy about it. Okay, PoE or EVE Online. Well, the thing with Path of Exile is that Path of Exile is mainly successful because Diablo 3 is a complete disaster. Diablo 3 is completely fucking terrible. Path of Exile has a lot of problems that are, in my opinion, like, kind of user unfriendly, and I think that if, you know, if they fix those, I'm not really trying to say that they should fix them, but, you know, if that did happen, fuck, I didn't get it. If that did happen, I feel like a lot more people would play the game, but it would also alienate a little bit of their core audience. The action RPG genre is basically dead. I mean, it's Path of Exile is the best game for action RPGs. And then a distant second is probably Diablo 3. And Diablo 3 is just a complete disaster. I mean, like, if they bring out Diablo 4 and it has the same philosophy that Diablo 3 had, I figure that that's going to be the last Diablo game that we ever see. Because it's just... Or no, they'll probably do another one as a phone game. Never mind, of course, because Blizzard did buy that King. I think they bought King like 2 years ago, which is a mobile game developer. So maybe that'll happen. But what about Halo? I stopped playing Halo at Halo 3. And I played Halo Reach very, very casually at friends' houses. So I don't know enough about Halo to really understand. I'm not sure. What about CSGO? Skill cap is really high. Well, that would build into my point that having games with high skill caps does not necessarily mean that that game is not enjoyable.